Evan Washburn has probably already hit that diamond status on Delta, as he has already been all over God's green earth getting us ready for NFL training camps. Only one more after this. However, we're not done quite yet. Today he is in West Virginia with the Texans because he got to escape the Houston Heat, which is absolutely disgusting right now. We are talking about the Texans, who went 10-7 last season, won their division in the AFC South, however lost in the divisional round of the playoffs to the Chiefs. Hoping to improve on that. They have worked to make a lot of improvements this offseason. So let's welcome in the one and only Evan Washburn. Congrats. Only one more to go after this. You do have an NFL seminar in between all of this, though. Let's talk about CJ Stroud, though. He gets a new offensive coordinator in Nick Caley, and first time that he will be calling the plays full time, Nick Caley, that is. And I've heard maybe not some great things about this offense, so kind of temper the expectations here of what's going on.
Well, Amanda, think about it this way. You might be an expert in one field, but if you have to learn a completely new way of describing that field or language surrounding that field, there are going to be some growing pains. And that's the case right now for this Houston Texans offense. They're in the early stages of development in what should be an offense that's extremely effective, versatile, at its best. Think those days in New England where Tom Brady's chucking the ball all over the yard. Nick Caley's a disciple of Josh McDaniels, spent some time in L.A. with Sean McVay, so he brings a deep Rolodex of plays. But it's a challenging offense to command because it is that versatile. It is a deep playbook. But C.J. Stroud, we just spoke a few minutes ago, extremely excited about it because it gives him a lot of ownership. So a lot will be placed on his shoulders in terms of checks at the line of scrimmage and getting the ball out quick to a variety of weapons. Now, it also should be noted that in these training camp practices that everybody right now is so obsessed with because we're football starved, they're going up against one of, if not arguably, the best defense in football, and this Texans defense has been terrorizing that offense through the first couple weeks. So that's good practice. It's like working out with a medicine ball. When they pick up that normal ball in week one, they might be rolling.
All right, we're going to get to the defense here in a second. One more thing about the offense, though. How's the offensive line looking? Look, C.J. Stroud spent a lot of time on his feet, spent almost his just time on the ground last season because that offensive line was not holding up. They tried to make a lot of changes to it. How are they looking?
Again, that would be part of that early stage development. It would appear that they found their group of five, but they've been rotating a lot of bodies through. Really, it's going to be five new players in terms of where they are across the line. Titus Howard, really the only returning starter, but he's most likely going to move from right tackle to right guard. And the feeling is, while they may not have the Pro Bowlers, Laramie Tunsil now with the Washington Commanders, they feel like the mentality of this group and what they're asking for them to do within this system is to allow for CJ to have time to, again, get the ball out quick. Also important to note, new offensive line coach Cole Popovich comes in. I mentioned it with Nick Caley. Should be mentioned with him. He's part of that New England world as well, learned at the feet of a legend in Dante Scarnecchia. So if he can bring even a percentage of that tutelage to that group, they should be pretty good.
One missing piece from this Texans offense is Joe Mixon, he's been dealing with a foot injury, and I got to tell you, first thing when I walked in this office was talking about fantasy football and who to draft. So it's not just, Texans fans who want to know how he's looking. It's everybody who wants to know what's up with Joe Mixon. What can you tell us?
Well, he's not out of practice right now, so that's never a good sign, but it's the first week of August, so that's not really an issue in terms of availability necessarily for week one. But from a fantasy perspective, Amanda, I would say temper expectations, not just because he's coming off a foot injury where he is in his career at that position, but they feel like they have a pretty deep group. It should be mentioned, Nick Chubb, a forgotten man. He's only played in 10 games the last 2 years. If he has even 70% of what he was prior to the knee and then last year the foot injury, that's a huge piece to this running game. Dameon Pierce still in the mix. They drafted a young running back. They want to run the ball here. That's part of this new offense as well. So they want to be effective in that area, but it doesn't feel like, at least in my sense here in one day, that it's going to be one man running the rock for the majority of a game.
All right, now it is time to talk about the defense. Derek Stingley Jr. gets extended this offseason, and I've already heard expectations from him talking about, look, they were second, I think, in the league behind Minnesota last year in interceptions. He thinks they should be first this year. You already mentioned it a little bit, but how good is this defense looking?
Amanda, it's awesome. I mean, I do this thing where, much like yourself, you're prepping for the season and you're reading all the beat reporters and consuming every day in practice, and everything's been about the defense. And then I'm out here one day and they're making plays all over the field. I didn't see Stingley necessarily have an interception, but Kamari Lassiter, who's in year 2, had 2. So he's bookending that other side. They moved Jalen Petrie into the nickel. They signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. This is a back end that would rival any in the league, and that's not to mention up front, which obviously helps the back end. They've got Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. rushing off the edge. Talking to D'Amico Ryans, who's the head coach but is also the defensive play caller, he just referenced the comfort and speed in which they can get through all of the install. They're on step 20, if you will, of the process, where a year ago they may be on step 5, because they have so much continuity within that defense, and that just allows you to play faster. And I think out of the gate, this group is going to lead this team, and it might be the case all year.
All right, Evan, we appreciate it. One more trip to go. Where are you next? What's your last
We
camp?
are headed to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, to see the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh.
Looking forward to it.
Plenty of
Junior's
drama there.
driving, so we'll be there in a couple hours.
All right, Evan, we'll let you get on the road. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Have fun in Pittsburgh. A lot to talk about there, and we'll make sure to talk to him about exactly what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. By the way, we are counting down the days. Today is August 5th. The NFL returns to CBS on September 7th, including Lions and Packers. We'll see if Evan's on that game, or maybe our Tracy Wolfson.